Hey everyone, welcome to 2021. One of the last projects from last year was to update our bathrooms a little bit with some new mirrors and shelving. So like most projects, I started this one out by breaking down my rough material. This is some figured maple that I got a couple months ago that I've just been sitting on waiting for this project. Now the plan is to build 3 different mirrors, one for our kids' bathroom and then 2 for our master ensuite. To tie everything together, I'm also planning on building some floating shelves for both of the bathrooms. For the ensuite mirrors, I will be cutting the glass to shape, but for the kids' bathroom, I'm actually just using a floor mirror, which you can pick up for less than $20. My son wasn't around, so I tried the old box trick for catching my material off the drum sander. That didn't work so well, but the sandpaper that was in the box sure did.
I'm so sorry.
Now I know I've mentioned this in my last few videos, but I'm getting amazing results right now with my sanding when I'm grain popping in between all the grits. With the first round of sanding done, I added the groove that was needed to hold the mirror within the frame. And then I could add all my miters over at the table saw. And for sizing up the mirror, I just used relative measurements and snuck up on my fit. Spacing I put in for the mirror is a little bit bigger than it needs to be. I am going to come back and silicone caulk this in place just so it kind of has some room, but it's still sealed. I'm a little bit nervous about the glue up and just the wood movement. So anyways, I left a little bit more room for this to move around a bit. And again, I'll just silicone that in place. After applying a bit of glue to my miters, I pin nailed the pieces just to hold everything while the glue dried. Here is a little trick. If you have a miter that isn't quite perfect, just take a screwdriver and just gently roll that edge and that gap will start to close up. Now I kind of have to hit pause on the mirrors for the second bathroom just for a second and start working on the floating shelves. I'm using maple plywood as well as these brackets from Hover Solutions. This is a French cleat system. It's an aluminum bracket that you can cut down to size and use as a floating shelf. It works like a French cleat. It's pretty slick. I have no affiliation with these guys, but it's definitely a product that I saw that I felt was pretty cool and I could use for these shelves for the bathroom. Now to hide the fact this was plywood, I did cut 4-sided miters. You'll see what I mean by this once I get to assembly, but the idea is all the edges are cut to 45 degrees, so everything slots together and it hides the exposed edge of the plywood. Now to prevent any mistakes, I usually tilt my blade to 45 degrees and leave it set up for all my cuts. This keeps things consistent and prevents me from cutting a 44.76 degree angle on something. I should point out that only your front-facing piece should have 4 miters. The 2 sides, top and bottom, really only need 3 because of how they'll be mounted and facing the wall. Now the opposing piece of these floating shelf brackets needs to be inset inside the shelf. So I just cut some scrap plywood that I could later attach the bracket to. And I used the same screwdriver trick to close up the miters on the shelves. We wanted to do something special for the mirrors in the ensuite, so I had my wife design a pattern in Canva, and then I used my opt laser to laser engrave the pattern on the inside of the frame. Now, if you've not seen the opt laser before, I'll leave some links in the description so you could check it out. But this is a massive upgrade over the previous laser I was using on my X-Carve. This is the part that I have been putting off forever. I have never cut glass before. I'm not even gonna try doing a test piece. I'm just gonna jump right in. So I've marked out an oversized piece that I'm going to use for one of the mirrors, and I filled the oil-filled glass cutter with obviously avocado oil, but we're going to try this. Let's see if all the hours of YouTube paid off. The idea is that you're only supposed to do 1 pass. So I'm going to take full pass, 1 try, and then put the scrap of 2x4, or sorry, the scrap of ply, oops. I'm not even pressing down right. Okay, let's try that. Okay, I can hear it scratching the glass. Okay. I'm gonna slide this underneath. I should just be able to. Look at that!
Look at that! Look at that! Yes. Yeah, look at that!
Perfectly. Huh? Why was I so afraid of that? Maybe because of this, or because of that. I read that using a popsicle stick is the way to do it, and I don't even believe it. Did it again. After about 21 years of bad luck, I threw up the white flag and I had a local glass shop cut my pieces to size. By the way, if this is your first time visiting my channel, I really want to say thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already, I'd love to see you hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Now for the two smaller mirrors for the ensuite, I did tape my miters. And I did add just a little bit of tape on the inside just to prevent any of the squeeze out from getting stuck in the engraving. It was also nice having an extra set of hands for this part. For additional clamping pressure, we did add a band clamp to the frame once all the miters were taped together. With my 3 mirrors square and all glued up, I could start cutting the aluminum hover systems for my floating shelves. I'll show you why later on, but I always cut any French cleat just short. My glue was dry, so I could finish the sanding process in preparation for finish. I also took the time to add a support brace to the back side of the bottom of the mirrors and the receiving end of the French cleat to the top half of the mirrors. And again, the French cleat that'll attach to the wall, I cut that short as well. Because the mirrors and the shelves are going into bathrooms, I just used a water-based varnish to finish them. I applied several coats, sanding in between each coat. And with that, I could start installing the mirrors. This is all I've done so far. I'm starting at the wall and I measured over to find where the center of the faucet was. And that's gonna give me an idea of basically a center line of where I can match everything up. And I was also gonna check the light fixture, but like by my eye, that's pretty straight. The idea is I'm gonna put my mirror in place and draw where I want the top of the mirror to sit. And I'm going to measure down with a French cleat on the back side so I know exactly which height to put the section of the French cleat that gets attached to the wall in place. Like I said earlier, cut the French cleat that mounts to the wall short. That way you have lateral movement, so you can go side to side and adjust the shelf to exactly where it needs to be. And I did the same on the mirrors as well, so if I needed to adjust the mirrors at all side to side, I can do that. For sure, one of the biggest screw-ups on this project is not taking proper before and after pictures. Here's a couple that my wife dug up from her Instagram stories. I literally walked in the door after being on a trip and she had already pulled apart half the bathroom, so I hopped up on the counter and started pulling off the mirror. And I do want to point out that the glass that we used, or tried to use, to make these mirrors with was the original contractor glass that spanned the whole length of this bathroom. These smaller mirrors and shelves definitely dressed up the bathroom, and using my laser engraver has definitely given me some ideas for some future furniture projects. And if you'd like to see a more in-depth tutorial on how I did this pattern and how the engraving worked, comment below so I'll know to make that video next. Again, if you have questions about the OptiLaser, I've put some links in the description. Oh, and this is how the second bathroom turned out. The way that this mirror fits in the bathroom just makes the small space look so much bigger. And my daughter had a lot of fun decorating the shelves. Again, I really want to say thanks for watching these videos. And I've queued up a couple extra here so you can keep going on some of the other things I've built for our house. Take care and Happy New Year.